Okay. I'm starting to hit the point of tiredness, but I've seen some of the future chapters and it gets quite amazing. So I'm continuing. I've done 1, 5, 13, 14. The next step is 22. And there's a couple things that I just wanted to quickly mention. So I've recently hit two amazing novels, which is surprising because it's hard to find a good novel. Generally, there's a lot of decent ones, like Hollywood Road. But I think Build a System is amazing. And the other one was called, let's find it here. An Expert is actually by my side. I think it's called 高人高人静在我身边. So yeah, there's yeah, 高人静在我身边. And Hollywood Road is very similar to the Nightcrawler movie. Um, so off the top of my head, I think Build a System was the one that mentioned a lot about. Obviously, most Chinese novels talk a lot about love, how love is a balancing act, where you put everything, your relationships, your money, your social status, and whatnot, future prospects, potential, on a scale, and then you weigh it, and if it fits, then it's a thing. Hollywood Road has some of that as well. Um, but I really like the the interesting education system, whereas in the Asia, right, you learn English and literature to become a politician, and you learn mathematics and science to become an engineer or a scientist, right? Because those are professions, even a doctor. Mm, a little bit specialized. And in the West, it's very similar. Science and math for engineering, science, computer programming, and doctor, and literature and English for you can do writing, professor, tenure, teaching, but generally for a higher level, it's lawyer, right? That's the profession. So that was just two interesting sets of note. And about the expert is from my side. Recently learned one number. I think was hexas code for the inverse square root, the fast inverse square root function. That really taught was an amazing reason why computer programmers should learn mathematics. No reason for why I decided to mention that. It just I'm kind of tired, so my brain kind of wanders. But yeah, I'll try and keep the energy up. But as I said, these things get tiring, especially when you're doing them back to back. I might have to re-record chapter 14, but we'll see. I might get lazy and just post this one instead. So let's see here. Sorry, I have chapter 22 open as well because I was doing some pre-reading as well. So let's get the title of this novel. Chapter 14. Uh, well, yeah, okay, just to make sure. So the first, so it's called 第14章, so the 14th page, 14th chapter. 伪装成鹿的女王. So what that means in English is the queen disguised as a deer, which I think is adequately translated. 女王 is queen, 装成 is to become or disguise as, 鹿 is deer. So continue from chapter 13, and there's some interesting stuff that happens in the future chapters. Chapter 22 is fascinating. Um, and then I'm trying to see what's the next chapter after chapter 22. Ooh, chapter 22 and 26. The next few chapters are my favorite chapters. So we're still in the drama and the background setting. Chapter 22, 26, 27. You're gonna get some of that urban life. One of the reasons why I read urban life web novels. Okay, so let's begin. Um, Finger to nose bridge of glasses and pushes them up. You know what? I want to clean my glasses real quick. I want to do the whole glasses where the glasses shines. Fine. Okay, cleaning my glasses. Making them sparkly clean so I can read. Okay. What a good story. Okay, let's begin. Chapter 14. Sume clenched her fists. Her small porcelain white face was flushed with anger at this time. No one thought that Sume would suddenly perform such an attack. It was so out of character. The iron head of the beautiful girl rushed into something, which is too incomprehensible with the style of painting. Um, Beautiful. Love the literature. So not even so Lu Yan didn't even guess it himself. He didn't even expect it. Although he had actually quarreled and blushed during her later relationship with Sume, Sume was still much more mature at the time. At least he had never used Ironhead skills against him. How small is this kid to use such fighting moves? And what's even more terrifying is that Lu Yuan was thrown directly to the ground by such an attack, with his feet upside down, which made it even more embarrassing. Yes, Lu Yuan never dreamed that after Sume was angry, she did not choose the scumbag to smash his palm, to smash her palm against his face. That's the classic Chinese drama. Um, she slapped her hand and left angrily, so that he could get the impression of being in chaos and abandoning him. But not playing cards according to common sense, um, since it was already unreasonable to refuse Zhao Junli before. And when Sume lowered her head at him, at that moment, Lu Yuan naively thought that Sume was going to bow and apologize to him. This reminded him when he had been to Yingxue country before, where the deer was very polite. When you feed it special deer biscuits, it will bow to you first and then come up to eat the biscuits. I think this is Japan. However, there are many travelers who do not have biscuits, but go to tease the little deer, or say that the little deer bows with the biscuit, but does not feed the biscuits. So they're often bowed directly by the little deer, bowed as in made to bow. Most people don't understand how powerful animals that seem to be docile and small when they hit them. It's as if Lu Yan didn't expect that after little Sume came over, she hit him in his chest with severe pain and almost called the transportation committee to notify him of his critical illness. When I picture the transportation committee, an interesting image that comes to mind is Bayomax from Big Hero 6. Seng Xing was also taken aback here. She didn't know why Sume would make such a radical move. Even if Lu Yuan really wrote insults at Sume on the piece of paper, with Sume's restraint, she definitely wouldn't do anything that hurts others. Can't do anything that hurts others. She hurriedly stood up, but instead of pulling up Lu Yuan, she grabbed Sume. By the way, she broke her palm to see what kind of rebellious words Lu Yuan wrote just now. So she wanted to grab the note. So by the way, let herself step on this. And dare to bully her cousin, the villain with his own small eyebrows. It was just that when she broke her palm to try and see what Sume's note was, Sume gripped her hand tighter, and she waved her hand to Seng Xing to signal that she was okay. While on the other hand, the girl's shell teeth slightly bit her lower lip. Looking at the road still on the ground, far away, finally reached out a hand. Sorry. Sume gritted her teeth when she said sorry. She continued to bounce. You have to give me an explanation for this matter. Lu Yuan looked at Sume, who was almost angry, knowing he might have done a little too much this time. But now that Sume gave him a step down, not grasping it would be destined to be lonely for a lifetime. Lu Yuan stretched out his hand and held Sume's little hand that pulled him up. Sume's little hand was cold and smooth, but the joints were rather hard, and there were hard, thin calluses on the forefinger and middle finger, which proved that this girl was, in addition to stunning, almost more time is spent on the game. And Sume is already red to the roots of her ears. If it wasn't for that, I couldn't control myself for a while and turned to the other person to the ground. Now this nasty boy still has the urge to lie on the ground and touch porcelain? Sume will not pull up the opponent up with his own hands. As soon as Lu Yuan stood still, Sume grabbed Lu Yuan's hand and walked away. This is just a young couple, eh? Seng Xing couldn't stop him for a while Zhao Jun was away from there watching Lu Yan downplay a piece of paper and let her Sume was furious. After knocking his head over, she was still in a state of anger and seemed to find a private place. This piece of paper shouldn't be the result of that little beauty's pregnancy test, right? Zhao Jun said blankly. Ah. In addition to this extreme result, Zhao Junli had no idea. Lu Yuan only wrote a few lines. Even if a person scolds the street, there's obviously absolutely no way to curse the other party to this level. Dot. Oh man, my voice is tired. On the other side, Lu Yuan was almost under control of Sume, dragged and ran on the nest of heaven, which is the name of the place in Los Angeles. Think of it as the San Fran Tokyo of Big Hero 6, without finding a secluded place for chatting. After all, this is the peak period of dining, and almost everyone is everywhere. Where is there any quiet place? At this moment, Sumei's eyes suddenly lit up, and she took Lu Yuan and walked somewhere. Lu Yuan looked there and instantly had the urge to save his life, but in the end he resisted and murmured anxiously at Sumei and said, "Don't be impulsive." Sumei glared at him coldly and then dragged him into the woman's toilet without any explanation, and then stuffed Lu Yuan into the toilet cubicle before he walked in and locked the toilet door behind her. Jeez. A lot of single dogs in the internet water army and the netizens are commenting on that. Fortunately, Tianzhi's Nest is a high-end restaurant, so even if it's a woman's toilet, the space in each compartment is quite large. Thankfully, it's a toilet, so Lu Yan can be fortunate to sit on the toilet lid and accept the burst of Queen's breath for a little while. The stare of a young girl. Girl, do you know what you're doing is dangerous? You must have seen something unsuitable for children. Not knowing where you are now is a very dangerous position. Sume had no such thoughts. After Lu Yan sat down, she was able to look at each other condescendingly, and the girl's lips trembled slightly. How do you know I'm Suno's? So that's her screen name. Think of it as like a Valkyrie, Pokimane. I'm trying to think, is there any or yeah, no, virtual avatars were just coming into being. So Amelia, Watson, Gurkha, I think. There was Hololive. Who was the rapper? Oh, I'm gonna get flamed. Yeah, it's okay. Hopefully, no, the Hololive people aren't reading web novels. Although considering, yeah, no, yeah, Mori Kalalo. Yep. Mm-hmm. Lu Yan looked at Sumei's flowery face, and at that moment, there's an urge to tell everything frankly. But he forcibly held on to this idea because it was too absurd and would not be believed at all. What's more, what Lu Yan said was that you were my lover in the previous life. So when Lu Yan spoke, he had said something different. He had something very different to say. I really like Suno's live performance. I have seen almost every work more than once, so I'm very familiar with her voice. Sume was a little dumb, but I've obviously used many different voices. How do you know this? How do you know this was mine? How do you know my original one? Although Sume said this, her tone already contained a lot of uh, unconfidence. Um, her tone was already not very confident. Lu Yuan breathed a sigh of relief. He deeply knew how difficult it is to deal with Sume if she was angry, especially if he continued to lie to her. Lu Yuan rarely lied to Sume, but fortunately, he successfully lied to her every time. And what Lu Yuan wrote on the piece of paper is, "Hello, Suno. Your favorite game is The Last Day of the Sea. Haio, I think. Oh, Haiying. Honestly, Haiying seems to be some sort of nickname for America in this novel, or the substitute. Um, as I outlined in one of my previous things, it's not a harem, and it's not nationalistic. So I think a lot of people will be quite surprised at the quality of this novel. Oh, man, I'm so tired. Suno is Sumei's main name of Up during the game, and is often nicknamed Nona by the fans. And speaking of this incident, it shocked her 1,000 times more than calling Sumei's real name. If Lu Yuan didn't guess wrong, even Sumei's cousin, Seng Xing, did not know Sumei's identity at this level. At this moment, the lights in the ladies' toilet suddenly went out. There's an instant darkness in the field of vision. The power went out. Lu Yuan couldn't help asking himself. The ground under his feet immediately trembled, just like the ground of a magnitude 8 earthquake. It's okay for Lu Yuan to sit on the toilet lid, and Sumei stood on the ground for a while. Unsteady, the whole person fell on Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan could only felt that his cheek had touched a cold, soft mass, and he had guessed correctly. That should be Sumei's lips. What an interesting way to end. I originally wanted to just do chapter 14. What was the quote? I think it was just the deer moment. When they're mentioning tours to deer. But yeah, I think this is a very good cliffhanger to end off on, and then we'll skip to chapter 22. We'll skip some of the stuff, but a lot of character development happens in the beginning. We'll get to some of the urban life stuff, some of the sci-fi stuff, and then some of the what do they call it? Preparation stuff. And it is very, very fascinating, that journey. You see a lot of VR MMOs with similar premises, like, oh, um the world's going to change in 5-10 years. Oh, you need to get an advantage in the video game to make a lot of money, right? The world is going to change. I think there's a lot of novels like starting from zero, wildfire. I don't the white-haired mage, but that's a little different. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. But yeah, those are some early ones. Even LMS, Arc, we're naming some really old ones. One Man Army. Um, what was the predecessor to One Man Army? It was a very old Korean one. But yeah, a lot of VR MMOs, say the future of video games, virtual currency in the world is just being dragged into video games, and so this is a little bit different from that, and I really like it. It's not an apocalypse novel. That trend has gone out of style maybe 3 years ago. Some of the notable titles would be um, the MC and his Doomsday vehicle, the MCV, during Doomsday, Dark King, and whatnot. Doom Lord. A lot of the apocalyptic novels have gone out of style in favor of more isekai, wish fulfillment, the classic wuxia, do-over, urban life novels, entertainment, military, obviously period pieces like Tang Dynasty, antique stuff, fan fictions. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, and some various Western fantasy. No strong trends have really emerged at this time period. Most of it's just lying. Most of the web novels are just lying back and trying to just make more content, kind of like YouTube. So yeah, that concludes it for chapter 14 and various sparse analyses and interesting comments. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. I'll probably be doing chapter 22, 26, 27, and more later.